Hey everybody, Sara and Keith again from the Leaders Lyceum, and glad you're with us. Hey, last time we were together, we asked you to reflect on what we called landmark events that took place over different eras of your lifetime, elementary school, high school, early in your career, and to come up with 3 or 4 things from each one of those periods. I want you to think about those things that you wrote down, and my guess is a couple of things are true about those things. One is that they involve some element of challenge. So whether it was the loss of a loved one or the birth of a child, from like as far negative to as far positive as you can go, there was probably difficulty in it. But the second thing I bet is true about that is that your takeaways now, some number of years later or even some number of months later, is that there's positive stuff that's come out of it, that you understand yourself in a new way that you didn't understand yourself before. And that is the lens change that we were talking about last time. That's how vertical development happens, is when we are challenged in some way that changes our understanding of ourselves in relationship to the whatever problems we're facing.
And we like to explain this in the context of the formula for growth. So we've taken the sentence that we believe to be true and written as a formula just to make it a little more memorable. And what it is that challenge and contradiction, things that are challenging us and that contradict the way that we view the world, when they happen over some period of time and we persevere through them, that's what's going to elevate our leadership. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything about math, you know that if you want your elevated leadership to get bigger, with that fraction, either the numerator needs to get bigger, the challenge and contradiction, or the time needs to get smaller. There's your math lesson for the week.
Yes.
So this is how we grow, is we find ways that we can increase the challenges that we're facing rather than ignoring them, sweeping under the rug, and we deal with them in a timely manner rather than putting them off and trying to avoid them.
Yeah, very good. The other thing about the formula is if you zero out perseverance, which is sweeping it under the rug, mm-hmm. or ignoring it or hoping it'll go away, zero growth, right? So, we've been asking you to author these small steps, some small step that you engage in on a weekly basis, to evaluate, as we've talked about in previous videos, to evaluate that in a way that reflects lens change, a new way of understanding. We want you to really be thinking now about how in my small step do I engage challenge and contradiction. And the best way to do that is go back to your growth gap tool from, I think, week 2 that we did this. And how can you bump up into your worry, fear, resistance just a little bit? So maybe there's a conflict you've been avoiding. Maybe there's a conversation that you've been reluctant to have. There are any number of things that could bump up against that worry, fear, resistance. That's how you engage the formula for growth, and that grows you vertically.
So go challenge yourself and take another small step, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.